What is up everyone, welcome back to another video. Game week 7 preview time. We're going to cover hot transfer tips, we're going to cover captaincy, your questions answered, and a wildcard draft all in one video. Just before we get into this video is sponsored by FPLtips.com. They send a free FPL newsletter that gives you a quick, funny summary of everything you need to know before every single game week deadline. You could be totally out of the loop, but reading one of those emails gets you up to speed on all the important stuff you need to know. Stuff like stats, transfer trends, injury news, and tips from fancy experts. Signing up is really easy as well and completely free. All you need is an email address. I've been subscribed for a while now and it's been a game changer and helped me so much so far this season. If you want a level playing field with me and over 10,000 other managers who also get these emails, just use the link at the top of the description. Let's get into the video. What is up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today it is game week 7 preview time. Apologies I couldn't get one of these videos out between game week 5, game week 6 because they were midweek deadlines. I was focusing on making sure my team selection was ready for the upcoming game week, but now we have a bit more time. It's time to focus on the upcoming game week 7, key hot topics that we're going to cover. As I said in the introduction, we're going to cover 4 key transfer targets for you all. We're going to do captaincy poll and captaincy answered for you because it's a little bit more difficult this week because Haaland has a difficult fixture against Tottenham. Does he still come out on top? We're also going to answer your questions, and then finally we're going to wrap up with a wildcard draft as well. If that's not something to celebrate, all of that in one video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel before we get into it. But let's go. The first transfer target we're going to look at is Wesley Fofana of Chelsea. Chelsea's new signing at the end of the transfer window. They finally got him across the line and he definitely looked good in his first Chelsea appearance in game week 6, and it is definitely a sign of things to come. He's priced at just $4.5 million, 4.4 to be exact, and is only 2% owned at the moment. Chelsea started the season with a bit of a mixed run, particularly for defensive fixtures. However, from game week 7 onwards, particularly from game week 9 as well, there is a very nice run of fixtures for the Chelsea defence and for Fofana as well. Lots of you with Reece James, I would not put you off doubling up with the defence of Fofana and Reece James. You can go with Fofana like we had Ben White last year. Just sit him on your bench every week if you wanted to, but when Chelsea are in form, having that double Chelsea defence with a 4.4 option could be absolute gold. He's only predicted to score about 16 points over the next 6 game weeks, again because his expected minutes are still low given the move, given his attacking threat is not there, but I would be very surprised if he scores as low as that. Again, only a few starts, not really many points so far this season, again given the move, but I am expecting big things for Fofana over the next 6 game weeks. Next up, we go up front to Alexander Mitrovic. 6 goals in 6 games for him, averaging 6.5 points per match. He has looked so good so far this season. A lot of us being put off of buying Mitrovic given how he performed in previous seasons, but he's shown us so far this year exactly what he's capable of and how different a striker he is. Now, game week 7, they have Chelsea at home, but I know I've just spoken about Fofana. I do think you can probably buy Mitrovic this week, given that Fulham tend to score against absolutely everyone so far this season. But particularly from game week 8 onwards, the run of fixtures that Fulham have, that you have for Mitrovic and Andreas Pereira, is really, really nice. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, West Ham, Bournemouth and Aston Villa in that run. Again, he'll be one of the most transferred in forwards going into game week 8, even if he doesn't get something in Chelsea, so it's worth investing in him now. Again, predicted to score a massive 30 points over the next 6 game weeks. That is crazy high for predicted points. Normally players may end up outperforming them, but predicted points don't score that highly. Again, an option that is definitely on my radar and one I'm really considering transferring in. Really affordable price as well at 6.8 million as a forward. One of the best players to be buying at the moment. Next up, we've got flavour of the moment, Marcus Rashford. 6.5 million midfielder, but likely to rise up to 6.6 million as well. He's still relatively low owned at just over 10%, but he has performed really well, particularly over the past couple of game weeks. Little fun fact for you, he's actually outscored Mo Salah so far this season, and we'll talk about Salah later when we get onto the wildcard draft and whether we should be keeping him, but he has done well so far this season, including 2 goals and an assist against Arsenal in game week 6. The fixtures over the next 4 are nice. nice. Yes, there's a Manchester City fixture in there, but Palace, Leeds and Everton in 3 of their next 4 are definitely fixtures that you can look to target with the likes of Marcus Rashford, Antony, Jadon Sancho all in there as well. Predicted to score 23.5 points. Again, it's a pretty reasonable performance for him if he gets that over the next 6 weeks. I even think he's capable of doing that over the next 4 weeks of loan, given how good some of those fixtures are. So definitely one I'm looking at. If you're looking for a mid-price midfielder before your wildcard, he's the one that I would go and buy. And finally, we have a defender in Trippier. Again, before we go any further, if you haven't joined the league code above, make sure you go and do so. And anyone who wants to chat FPL with like-minded managers, the link to the Discord server is down below. Free to join. Just get in there and start chatting FPL. But he's had a difficult run of fixtures over the past few, and it's finally time to really be looking at that Newcastle defence. He's scored 30 points so far, averaging 5 points a game, including that goal that he scored against Manchester City, which is not unheard of. He's very good from free kicks, both from sort of creative free kicks, corners, creative set plays, but also that goal scoring ability he has from direct free kicks as well. On top of this, the fixtures are very nice, particularly the 3 home games that they have in the next 6. Bournemouth, Brentford and Everton are definitely fixtures that this Newcastle team can keep clean sheets in, and I would expect at least 2 clean sheets, if not 3 or 4, over the next 6 weeks, given how Trippier, Pope and the rest of that Newcastle team are performing. Again, just predicted over 20 points. I think he'll outperform that considerably. All the stats in here taken from Fantasy Football Scout members area as well. So here are top 4 transfer targets, but let's get captaincy poll up next. So for me, this is my captaincy poll. So you've got the predicted points, which are taken from Fantasy Football Scout predicted points, and then I've ranked them in order of how I feel about them. Although Haaland is not predicted to be the highest scoring option, for me, he is still the best captaincy option. Although he might not explode against Tottenham, I think he's Mr. Reliable. The amount of goals he scores just consistently every single week, I think is the one that I will go with, just because I'm pretty certain he'll get something in that game. Next, we've actually got Trent Alexander-Arnold above Mo Salah in the rankings. Now, I think the chance of a Liverpool clean sheet are pretty good in this game. If you have Robertson, I would definitely be keeping him. I wouldn't be captaining him, but I would definitely be keeping him for this fixture. Wolves have looked good, but mainly from a defensive point of view and not scoring lots of goals. So I think there's a clean sheet in this game for Liverpool, pretty nailed on. And Trent, again, let's see how many minutes he gets in the Champions League midweek. But given that he didn't play the full 90 in game week 6, I think he's got a good chance of playing a lot of minutes and doing well in this fixture. Now, next up, we do have Mo Salah. Yes, his performances have not been that good, and a lot of people discussing potentially selling him ahead of the upcoming game weeks. But for me, I really wouldn't be doing that. I think he's a good option for this week in particular and still worth considering as a captain. Now, if Haaland had an easier fixture, he probably wouldn't even be on the list and it would just be Haaland here alone. But given it is a Tottenham fixture for Haaland, it is worth potentially looking elsewhere, and Salah comes in as my number 3 pick. And finally down the list is Gabriel Jesus. Now, I put a tweet out early in the week saying it was a 1-week wonder. He is riding his luck over the game week 2 fixture where he scored 19 points. He is still predicted to score 5.5 points going into this and has a great fixture at home to Everton in game week 7. Really worth looking at. They are good. The only issue is they do play Europa League during the midweek before game week 7, so there is a chance that there's a few tired legs in that Arsenal squad. However, I expect the likes of Nketiah to start. Maybe Jesus gets a rest going into that Europa League fixture, and Jesus to be fully ready for the weekend. Now, Haaland for me is the one that I'd be captaining, but a few other picks for you to go in with the weekend ahead. Let me know in the comments who you're captaining. Are you going with Haaland as well, or are you moving off for someone else as a bit of a differential? Next up, we have your top Game Week 7 community questions. 4 questions that we've got in here. Number 1 from Piracash, is it time to sell Jesus and other Arsenal players? So Jesus in particular performed very well going into the first couple of weeks, but the returns have since dried up a little bit. However, as I spoke in my captaincy poll, I think the Game Week 7 fixture for them is good enough that you should hold him. Now, as we spoke with Mitrovic, Game Week 8 onwards, you might want Mitrovic. I would give Jesus one more week, and if he blanks again, that sideways move to Mitrovic is definitely one that I would look at. A similar case is for the defence as well. If you've got the likes of Ramsdale, Saliba, Gabriel, I'd be looking at keeping them for Everton, but after that, I think they are sells. Brentford away, people are saying is an easy fixture for them. Brentford just scored 5 goals. Even though it was against Leeds, I don't necessarily think Arsenal will keep a clean sheet away at Brentford. So one more week for your Arsenal assets. Martinelli is a season-long hold for me. Saka is probably similar. You can keep him as well. He's been doing a bit better recently. Jesus and the defence, I'd give one more week before probably removing. Next up, JR's asked, what do we think of Liverpool assets? So the likes of Salah, Trent, Robertson, Diaz that you've got in here. Again, it's a similar thing for me. It is one more fixture that they need to have in your teams. At home to Wolves is good, particularly from a defensive point of view. If you have Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk in your team, even the likes of Alisson, I would be keeping them for this week. Particularly Diaz in midfield as well. It doesn't look like Jota's quite going to be fit. I don't think he'll be ready to start in game week 7. I think it'll be Luis Diaz who starts one more time before potentially Jota starts rotating in and out of that Liverpool team. Salah, again, he is disappointing for the 13 million, but we know what he's capable of. That Liverpool system has changed a little bit this year, which means Salah is slightly wider and not quite as a focal point at that Liverpool attack. And I think Klopp will change it back to what he's been known to do and put Salah more central where he's more involved in the goal scoring, because that's what he's best at and that's what gets Liverpool the point and the wins that they really need at the moment. So keep them all for 1 week. After this week, sell the likes of Robertson. You can probably keep Trent. I'd also looking to sell Luis Diaz as well, but Salah is a keep. Next up, question comes in Commenters IQ. Is McAllister the real deal, or what mid-price midfielders should we be looking at? So McAllister did really well in game week 6, one of the best performing options, but he did well off about a 0.2 expected goals. I spoke about something very similar when I was talking about Josh Da Silva early in the season, how I don't think it's going to be sustainable and I don't think he'll be able to keep up this point scoring. So for me, I wouldn't be going with McAllister. I still prefer Gross over him. However, we spoke about early on Marcus Rashford. If you are yet to play your wildcard, Marcus Rashford is the one that I'd be going at. If you need a cheaper option, okay, McAllister, Gross are in there, Aronson of Leeds, but also Leon Bailey coming in at 4.7 million. Also a bit of a differential in there, given their run of fixtures are really nice. So Rashford, Gross, Aronson or Bailey are probably the 4 that I'd be looking at in that bracket. And finally, Daniel Ing has been asked, can you make all game week 7 wildcard draft? Could I put it in? I've been asked this over the past couple of weeks, so I've decided I can't do a whole video on it, but I'm going to throw it in at the end of this game week 7 preview. Let's go. So here's the wildcard team that I put together for you. It has 0.2 million in the bank when I create it. You're pretty similar in terms of value, might be slightly short, and there are a couple of ways that you can save money if you wanted to. In goal, we've gone Pope. I've gone Pope over Trippier just for the longer term. I want to play that Newcastle defender every week. Not many of you will be making goalkeeper transfers, so I don't put Pope in one of my top transfer targets, but I like him if I was on wildcard. I've got Ward next to him, although I actually think Ward might lose his place. You might want to go for Iverson of Leicester, his teammate, in there as well. In defence, I've kept Trent because I had the budget and I do like their next 3 fixtures, particularly from a defensive point of view. Cancelo, again, the most nailed Manchester City defender, plus he's shown he still has that attacking threat. Kyle Walker looks like he's got an injury. Then there's a lot of rotation in that second centre-back spot. For me, Cancelo needs to stay. Then we've got Reece James, as we spoke about with Fofana, the Chelsea fixtures from now till about game week 16 when we play the wild card over the World Cup are really nice. Reece James looks like he's back at right wing back now that Fofana is here, so Reece James needs to be in. I think he's going to set the world light over the next few weeks. And then Fofana goes in with him at 4.4 million. He is a great option to have. He can sit first on your bench or sub him when Chelsea have an easy fixture. He looked really good, really solid, and I think he'll do well for bonus, even not that goal threat that he can't have. And then finally, Lewis Dunk in the defence, 4.6. If you are looking to downgrade and you don't quite have the budget for this team, Lewis Dunk down to a 4.0 in the likes of Neco Williams or Emerson of West Ham is probably where I'd go. But that Brighton defence has looked really solid. Not kept a clean sheet in the past 2, but I think they'll get back to their good ways that we saw at the beginning of the season. Into midfield, I do keep Mo Salah. As I spoke with him, I do expect the returns to come back for him, for Klopp and Liverpool to change back their system a little bit more to what we've seen in previous seasons, so he stays in there. Martinelli, a season keeper for me, stays in midfield, and actually we've gone and put James Maddison in here. Now this could be practically any mid-price midfielder that you wanted to. If you want to go down to Gross and bank the money, then fine. Marcus Rashford could easily be in here. I just really like what the Leicester options and the Leicester fixtures can offer for James Maddison. On short term, Marcus Rashford's great, but over the longer term, I think Maddison could do really well. Pereira, of course, is in here as the best sort of 4.6 option, but I've gone with Leon Bailey next to him. I was going to put another 4.5 million midfielder in here, but why not invest the 0.2 million to go up to the likes of Leon Bailey, who's got a lot of goal threat and is actually showing a lot of form as well at the moment. And then up front, Tony, Haaland, Mitrovic. There's no Gabriel Jesus in here. If I was wildcarding this week, I'd probably want Jesus for Everton, but I would probably make the transfer and go Mitrovic straight away because I need the money elsewhere in this team. So this is a wildcard draft. We've also covered your top questions, captaincy poll, my top 4 transfer targets, all in one video. I think it's going to be under 20 minutes. I'm not checking the timer right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see this one whole guide to the game week every single week, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you all so much for 30,000 subscribers. Let's keep ticking along. Good luck in game week 7 if I don't see you before then, but there will be a team selection video and a deadline stream before game week 7. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll be back again very soon.